when you, the consumer, go to closing, you are presented with a set of documents relating to truth in lending. Why? Because even though there is no lending going on here, when you contract with Guidance Residential, you become essentially a co-owner. It's a co-ownership contract. It's not a borrower-lender contract. You have to sign these documents so that the government knows that Guidance is not charging an exorbitant amount of interest from you. And so our Sharia board has reviewed these various documents, and we've seen that quite clearly that they're based on terminology widely used by the industry, even though we don't use that terminology and we don't certainly indulge in any of those practices.
The question is, those mandated disclosures, the terminology they use, does it make the contract impermissible when they're referencing interest, lending, addressing the customer as a borrower, which we don't in the core contract, of course, because that's not what the relationship is. But does it negate the contract?
Well, the simple answer is no. We requested the government please change the language, because this is not it does not accurately describe the transaction that takes place. And of course, they said, well, we can think about it, but really it's unrealistic, because these forms are published in the millions every year, and 99% of the market is based on interest in lending. So there's really no scope for us to make a special exception for you. But look, these are disclosure forms. As Hussam mentioned, they're not part of the contract. Yes, they're presented to the home buyer at the time of closing, because that's the federal law. The law wants to make sure that consumers are not cheated by companies, mortgage companies, that are going to charge them exorbitant rates. And so they send out these disclaimers, forms that need to be signed. That yes, we have been informed by our financing company that the rate is going to be such and such, and we're fine with that. And then you sign on the dotted line. But that has absolutely nothing to do with the contract itself, and certainly nothing to do with the Sharia content of that contract.
Thank you, Sheikh Youssef. Thank you very much for that. It can be overwhelming for first-time homebuyers. When they sit down at the closing table, there's a stack of documents this high, and that stack of documents, the vast majority of it is federally mandated disclosures. They're consumer protections of sorts, right? And so the core of that stack, the core document, is the co-ownership commitment agreement. That is the contract. In a conventional mortgage, a loan, it's called the lender agreement. You'll see it headed, the contract is actually titled the lender agreement, which does not exist in the stack of documents that Guidance provides. And so when you search for the core agreement, it's the co-ownership commitment agreement. That's what stipulates everything related to the relationship, the term, and so on and so forth. So that's a very important distinction for many who are looking at the stack of documents and wondering, oh my goodness, there's so many federally mandated forms here that are simply disclosing information, disclosing the nature of a mortgage, and they're using this inappropriate language like interest, borrower, loan, lender. So thank you for that clarification, Sheikh Youssef.